Our dogs serve as a gateway, a window for us to access some really advanced healing technology. And these guides are not the personal spirit guides of our personal dogs. They are a collective of energies that are from other dimensions, other galaxies that are here to help, have volunteered to help humanity heal.
Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. We are exploring the mystical side of life once again this week. If you enjoy our conversations, remember to subscribe, share with a friend. Today, I have the delightful Leigh Strom, who is a galactic canine channel. Welcome, Leigh.
Thank you very much, Linda. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Well, I am looking forward to this conversation. Could you tell us what a galactic canine channel is?
Yeah, that's a great question because it's a brand new term. And it was given to me by the K9 Spirit Guides as I wrote their book. Apparently, I am a galactic canine channel, which I had no idea about. And I didn't know I was an author, and I did not know I was going to write a book. I was preparing to retire from my current career when I began to receive messages about writing a book. So a galactic canine channel is, well, what I do is I connect to the galactic version of our dogs, or rather the intergalactic version of our dogs, if you want to be correct. Our dogs serve as a gateway, a window for us to access some really advanced healing technology. And these guides are not the personal spirit guides of our personal dogs. They are a collective of energies that are from other dimensions, other galaxies, a variety of places that are here to help, have volunteered to help humanity heal. So with our open connection, our heart connection with our dogs, our best friends, man's best friend, there's an opportunity for a deep connection there. And that's why they come through our dogs to us, is because we're already so open and bonded and loving and accepting with our dogs.
So, this energy that you're connecting with is more than the spirits of our pets.
It's not their soul, their individual soul or their spirits.
And it's not the history of the dog genus.
You mean passed on versions of our dogs?
I'm thinking of the lineage that goes all the way back to creation on this planet.
There is no time, right? Time is an illusion. It's much bigger than that. It's not limited to this planet. We'll say that.
Do you have to be a dog person to actually benefit from the galactic canine spirit guides?
No, actually, that's what's so surprising. 75% of my clients don't even have dogs. So they use our dogs to deliver messages for us, provide healing for us, get our attention, help us make connections that we are intended to make in our lives, and keep us on our path to our blueprint. But we don't have to have dogs in order to work with these canine spirit guides and receive their healing frequency.
So, what you're saying is that people who do have dogs, the galactic canine spirit guides are working with the actual physical dogs in our lives to help heal us and guide us.
Yes. Yes. So, those dogs that spontaneously just appear in your life, or you weren't planning on getting a dog and all of a sudden you just had to have this dog, or a certain dog calls to you and you're like, I don't know why, but I like that dog. These are the canine spirit guides working in conjunction with the dog's essence to have an opportunity to work with you and provide essential healing that you need at that moment.
And can you tell me a little bit about your work as a channel and how you tap into them and what comes through when you do?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I have a process that I go through when I'm working with a client. either privately or in a group. And I sit quietly, sort of like a meditative state. And I tap into, if I'm doing a private session, I tap into the spiritual essence of the person I'm going to work with. And while I'm in their energy field, I then consult with the Canine Spirit Guides. And one of the guides will come through, sometimes two, but usually one of the guides will come through and share words of wisdom that are critical for that person to know right now in their journey. So that could be anything. That could be, why is your house breaking down around you? Something really simple and human. Or it could be, what you came here in this lifetime to achieve. It could be your life story, your mission. It could be something in a past life that needs to be cleaned up and healed and facilitated so that you can move forward, or maybe has something to do with your purpose, or a disease, or a loved one, or sometimes they give me messages from dogs that have passed on, or even current dogs, but that's not the norm. I'm not what I would consider a dog communicator, or animal communicator. So it could be anything. And each time I do a session, I'm always surprised at the information I'm getting for these clients. So I can't really say what I will get exactly because I never know. It's always a surprise. But then once I get that download, they also will share with me what needs to heal for this person, for this soul, in order to elevate their frequency, elevate their consciousness so they can grow and they can evolve into the level that they need to be at in order to move forward on their path. When I get in front of the client, I share what download I received, what information they need to know. And I also share what healing the guide and what canine spirit guide wants to work with them. And they have that option at that point to receive the offering and accept it, or say, no, thanks, I don't want it. But no one has said, no, thank you. So then we'll move right into a healing session, a healing portion of the session. And I channel in the energy from that specific spirit guide. And the client will be able to feel it as we share that, because I'm still sharing the energy, I'm still in that person's energetic field. So I'm feeling everything that they're feeling. And if they're not in tune, or if they're not experienced with this type of practice, I can describe to them what they're feeling because I can feel it for them. And as they use their imagination, they can start to tune in and tap into what's happening. And so the guides will just explain to me what they're doing. Sometimes they're removing blockages or removing disrupted soul contracts, or some ancestral patterning that's getting in the way, or just karma that needs to be cleaned up. They'll tell me what they're doing and what part of the body they're working in, and I can see it and I can feel it. And sometimes they use crystals, sometimes they use geometric symbols that I don't know what they are. But all of this I describe to the client so that they can participate. And it's a very highly energetically charged session. And the person is usually pretty tired afterwards because there's a lot of energy moving. What they do is very deep, soulful work. It's different from anything else I've ever experienced. And after the session, I send home with the client a recording of that healing portion, because the guides typically want them to work with that recording daily to help them fully integrate the healing that they just received. So there's an added benefit, there's added homework to help maintain the new frequency that they are now vibrating at, because otherwise there's a tendency to return home, to return back to what we're familiar with, what's safe. So this is their solution for keeping us at our new healed place, is to work with the vibration of the recording. And the only thing that's different in the group sessions is that it's not customized to each person in the group. It's more of a generalized message, more of a generalized healing that's offered based on who is in attendance.
I'm going to assume that because this gift opened up to you, that first it healed you before it healed others through you.
Yeah.
What type of healing did you receive from the Galactic Canines?
That's a great question. So as I was writing this book that they were telling me to write, that's when I became acquainted with the Canine Spirit Guides. And while I was writing the book, then I learned to meditate. I didn't meditate before. I wasn't a spiritual person before any of this started back in early 2022. So not very far off from now. And as I went through my meditation process, I began to heal very, very deeply over issues I didn't even know I had or were present or even happened in my life, this life, previous lives, concurrent lives. So they would take me through this meditation journey that just brought up all this energy that I could just feel releasing through my body, and my body would react, a lot of trembling and shaking and tears coming down my eyes. I had no idea why I was crying. All these emotions came up, but I had no idea what they were attached to, but it doesn't matter. And that was part of their point, is that you don't need to know what you're healing from. Just heal already. You don't need to pick it apart and analyze it and understand it. Just let it go.
I totally agree with them because I've seen so many people get lost in the story and then identify with the story and repeat the story, and the story becomes a pattern in their consciousness.
They become more invested in the story than in the healing itself. So, and that's one of their biggest messages is, we're not going to tell you everything because you don't need to know it. All you need to know is that you're being healed from what you need to be healed from. That's all they'll tell me sometimes. And I just go with it.
Some people think that you need to know the story so that you can learn from the story. So could you maybe talk a little bit about how that isn't necessary, that you can still heal and have the teachings on an inner level?
So that's the cognitive mind needing to understand. That's the ego needing to understand what happened to me. Why did it happen? Who did it? Who's responsible? None of that stuff is necessary for healing. When you have an energetic healing opportunity and you want to hold on to that thought, and you have to understand it first, that clogs the drain, slows everything down, holds the ego in charge. So you're allowing the ego to dictate to your spiritual body what you will allow to be released, like almost like a gated system instead of just an open flow. So when you allow this flow to just move and say, whatever it is, I don't care, just get it out. When you allow that, which is what I did, I 100% trusted and just went with everything. I wanted to fast track. I wanted to be healed. I had worked my whole life to find my way to healing, never succeeded. Now I'm in my 50s and they're telling me this fast track, supersonic healing method. And I said, sign me up. I have no questions. Let's go. But when you allow that, what happens is your energetic frequency shifts very suddenly. And what I find is different with this than with the cognitive based healing is that when you shift into that higher frequency, you no longer need to know that stuff because you're just way above it. Your body is healed and you don't even care what it was that was bothering you because you're so happy and peaceful. And none of that matters. None of that lower frequency matters.
Great explanation, Heatherly, and totally agree. It must have been like two different worlds for you, having lived your life in a traditional career, and then all of a sudden you're hearing voices and your spiritual path presents itself underneath your feet. How did you navigate that?
I spent 30 years in the medical profession. I was ready to retire. However, I always knew I didn't belong. Like I never fit in that scientific mold, even though I tried to force myself. It never really resonated and I felt like the odd duck out. And so I was open to understanding anything about myself that actually made sense to me. So when this began to evolve, it wasn't a roadmap that was placed in front of me and I knew what was coming. It just sort of evolved around me. And I just opened myself up to it and said, whatever, show me, I will do whatever I need to do, because I was desperate to find myself and to find my path and my purpose. And so when this door opened for me, I didn't question any of it. Now, a lot of people will. There's the ego that wants to plan everything and wants to pull out a spreadsheet. Well, how can I do this? How can I do that? But I knew inherently that I had already created this moment, because I know that I am in charge of my destiny. So if I'm experiencing this moment, then I knew that I had set it up for a reason. So I already had a husband who, number one, did not believe any of this, but I had chosen him because he would honor me and he would support me and he would allow me to be who I needed to be. So because I trust, then I see the gifts around me and I see the path that's clearly laid out. So instead of panicking because everything's changing, I went inward and I said, show me what I need to see. Tell me what I need to hear. Take me where I need to go, and I will do it. And if you just drop the resistance, you can get far really fast.
What kind of healing miracles have you witnessed at the hands of these galactic canine guides?
I was working with a gal that was really focused on her mission to heal. But what she couldn't see was the masks that she was hiding behind. And I was struggling in this one session to get her to see it. And the guides, when I'm working with somebody, the guides are always whispering in my ear. So even though I cognitively have no idea what's going to happen, what I should say, what's going to work, they're pushing me constantly to say this, try this, to try and get an opening with a client. And she was not seeing her ability to be vulnerable. She wanted to project this number that she was running. I am strong. I can't rely on anybody else. I'm the only one that I can rely on, the only one that's safe to trust. And as I worked with her and I finally got her to transition into that, show me your underbelly. You're showing me your mask. Show me your underbelly. And I can't remember the exact words I used. And I don't want to go into too much detail and violate privacy. But all of a sudden, her whole energy just shifted. And she changed on the camera right in front of me. And I'm so glad we record our session so she can go back and see it. And the look on her face was like someone just pulled the veil off from in front of her face, and she could just see the world clearly, and she got it. And that just broke my heart right there, because when I'm working with people, they're energetically working with them at the same time, even though we're not doing like a healing portion of the session. When we're doing more mentoring, they're still in their energy field working with them. And they finally got through all that armor. And as I'm talking with her, that's helping to dissolve the armor. And when it came down, it was like a gush. It was the most beautiful transformation I had ever seen. And it was heartwarming for me just to be able to witness that, to be able to see ourselves fully when all we've seen before was what we thought we were, or, what we want other people to think we are. And really, we just need to connect from the heart. And that's all that we need to do.
What about other types of pets or types of animal spirits? Do they ever come in?
The Canine Spirit Guides actually resonate with a dog breed and also a wild animal. So many of these, the ones in my first book, are the core 4. So there's only 4 Canine Spirit Guides in my first book, and there will be a total of 50. So we've got a few to unveil yet, but they all resonate with half dog breed and half um, wild animal. So the cover of the book, Uragan, is the Basenji and the Black Panther. So there is other animal energy within these guides, because when they appear to work with people, they will appear in one form or the other. So I might have the Basenji working with the client, or I might have the Black Panther working with the client. And they each have different characteristics and different messages and purposes and energy. So it depends on what that client needs as far as what portion of that guide will be working with them. So there are going to be other animals. And I'm also told that there will be other animal kingdoms coming forward in the future, not just the canine spirit guides, but maybe the feline spirit guide or the lion spirit guide, or the tortoise spirit guide. So I'll keep you posted on that. But right now I have my hands full with the canine spirit guides.
You have quite a task ahead of you if you have 50 guides to bring in and you only do a handful per book. So in your book, you introduce us to 4 guides. Is the book imbued with healing energy, or is it more just informative, or does it give us actual tools that we can start to use?
It doesn't give you any specific tools, but it does lay out specifically what each guide does, gives you their name, which guides work with which type of fragments in our energy field, and what energy they want to share with us. And, it lays out my life and how they've been working with me my whole life. And so it uses 10 of my personal dogs to illustrate each of these 4 canine spirit guides. So you get these really beautiful bonding stories. Because I've been training dogs since I was 4, and I was a professional dog trainer in my 30s. So I have a lot of dog stories to share. And it also will illustrate how each guide had a particular thing that they were working with me on through each dog. So you can kind of see how it looks like when they're in action. If you have a dog in your life, you can see how they were facilitating my life and bringing me opportunities that I couldn't see at the time. I didn't see it until I wrote the book. And it will just get you familiar with them. The book, whether you're reading the written book or you're listening to the audiobook, it does have their frequency in it. So you're going to pick up on the frequency of your sensitives, and the frequency changes throughout the book. So each guide has a different frequency. And so the first couple of guides kind of ease you into it because their frequency is a little bit lower and more tolerable. And then you get to the third guide and things jump quite significantly to a different level. And you'll notice that the book changes quite significantly at that level. The stories change. It's a different type of story. It's a different type of message. And then by the fourth guide, his energy is way off the charts. So it changes drastically yet again. By the time you get past the first half of the book, you're not going to be able to put it down because the energy just starts working with you. And you're just like, I can't stop reading. That's what people are telling me.
You've told us that this door opened not that long ago for you, and you've had incredible healing. How has that translated to what happens in your life or how you live your life?
Wow, a lot's changed. I am so much more optimistic about life now. Before I could only see the bad things about life, the bad people in life. Basically the things you see on the news, that was my reality. I didn't see any point to being here. I didn't have any faith in humanity. I wondered why I was on this planet, and I didn't want to be here. I wanted to go home. It's a typical starseed story, right? And after the healing that they put me through, I am now connected to my divine light. And to me, everything is beautiful. And I meet the most incredible people, and I have the most incredible interactions with a stranger on the street now. And the stuff that used to bother me with my family, with my work, with the internet, people in general, doesn't even faze me anymore. It can't even touch me because my vibration has changed so much that most of that stuff can't even reach me anymore. And it's changed my focus. Now I'm more driven to work and to deliver this healing to humanity. Whereas before, I just wanted to retire and go live in the woods by myself. So it's really been like a third life for me. In the book, I share with people where I've already had my second life in this lifetime, but I have completely been reborn. And when I worked with a numerologist and an astrologist, they both told me that was coming. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Didn't take it serious, but it was a major upheaval. And I felt like all of my cells were being rearranged and restructured. And I actually describe a meditation in the book where all the guides came in and they literally reorganized me, rearranged me, gave me new wiring in order for me to be able to do this job. And it was a beautiful experience. And that's in the book.
I've had experiences like that too, and it's so hard to imagine. I remember being in a meditation, having the top of my head flip up, and then feeling like hands rewiring my brain.
Yeah.
And it was like wild. And like my curious nature was like, how cool is this? Right? So it's very cool. It's very cool. Okay, so Heatherly, I'm gonna like put you on the spot and you can say no because I'm gonna assume that your peeps are here. Do you want to offer our listeners a short healing?
Yeah. They're telling me, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah. They've already shown me what we're going to do. Are you ready? Okay. So for anybody who wants to receive this frequency, just sit quietly. We're going to take a few breaths in and out. And just imagine your tailbone extending down into Mother Earth as you extend your roots into the planet and connect with Gaia, making sure you're nice and grounded. Deep breath in and out. And I can already feel all four guides are with us here. I can already feel them in the space. They're going to make their way around the room to anyone who wants to join us. They're going to circulate around the room. So we have Anthea. She is the cheetah and the golden retriever. So you could see either versions of her. You could also see Oscar, who is the lion and the black and tan coonhound. We have Oregon in the room. She's very majestic, royalty energy, refined light vibration. You might notice her as the Basenji or as the Black Panther. And lastly, we have Daman Yadalan Eric, and he flies through the room as the bald eagle and quietly pitter-patters as the pug. So all of these energies are floating around us at this moment. And whoever you might see in front of you is the guide that has an invitation for you. So with your mind's eye, your third eye, take a look around the room. You will see me there. Notice if there's anyone else there, and notice what guide is sitting in front of you. This guide is inviting you to join them on a healing journey to help you elevate your consciousness, free you from any past life trauma, childhood trauma, disruptive and destructive behaviors, thoughts, any type of patterns that keep you from your higher selves, keep you from connecting to your oversoul and seeing who you are in God's eyes and divine light source energy. And they are just sharing a frequency, all four of them now at this moment, sharing a frequency with everyone in this room, on this call, on this recording. A frequency of generalized healing, awareness, activating your third eye so you can see more of the truth that you are meant to see, opening your heart chakra with a little bit of a spiral energy. Opening up your heart, allowing you to share more freely with your heart, to receive more freely with your heart, and to perform and connect those heart connections, not just with animals, not just with dogs, but also with people. Humanity needs to connect on that heart level as one people. There's also some clearing at the crown, opening you up, allowing this crown to serve you better in your ability to receive your own higher guidance, as well as that of the Canine Spirit Guides, your personal guides, and the divine light source frequency. And as that is kind of polished off, you can feel this trickle of energy coming down through your head, down through your throat, your shoulders, your chest, your abdomen, your hips, all the way down your legs, and all the way into the ground. And now you feel a little bit heavier as all this energy just sinks in. Absorb it, welcome it, embrace it. This is a frequency that you can use for healing, for connection, for enlightenment. Absorb this energy. Feel it expanding. If you want to keep it, I recommend that you go to your crown chakra and you just kind of shut the door there, shutting all this frequency in, intending to keep it and using it for the highest and greatest good of all. Take a deep breath in and out. All right. When you're ready, come back to the room.
Beautiful, Heatherly, and very palpable. I could definitely feel the energy coming in through the crown, working through my head, down the throat. My guides popped in first, just before when you started. I always feel them on my right shoulder and down, like creating a wider channel from the heart to the crown. So beautiful. Thank you.
Did you see any of the guides in front of you, the canine guides?
The Black Panther.
Ah, Oregon. Yeah. She's something else. Very powerful. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Now, your book is called,
Canine Spirit Guides, The Healing Power of Man's Best Friend.
and where can we send people who want to know more information about your work?
So you can find me at heatherleighstrom.com. And there'll be information about my work, my workshops, also my group events, and the book is also on my webpage. You can find information there, and also my podcast where I transmit these energies on a regular basis around the messages from the K9 Spirit Guides.
Thank you for being my guest today, Heather Leigh.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Linda. It's been wonderful.
And thank you for listening to this week's edition of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. You'll find all of our conversations on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Come visit me at ThoughtChange.com, pick up your copy of Learning to Listen, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.